All right, so this video is directed not towards gun advocates, people that know anything or know a lot about guns. Obviously, they know all of these calibers just probably by looking at them. This video is something I've been thinking about doing for a little while with all the anti-gun rhetoric, the knocking towards the Ar-15, the big demon, evil, monstrous machine gun assault rifle. It's not a machine gun. It's a semi-auto. One click of the trigger, one ignition of a round. Okay? Now, an AR means Armor Light Rifle, the company that initially made it. Eugene Stoner was the designer back in 1958. Colt took off with it, became the military gun that turned into the M16, and within yada, 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 it evolved. Standard civilian issue AR-15, Armor Light 15, Armor Light Rifle 15. It's a semi-automatic. It is not fully auto. It is not legal to own a fully automatic rifle unless you have a very extensively expensive license to carry one. Okay, and then you are very, very highly. They do deep background checks on you. So this here is for you ignorant, mindless jackasses who sit here and rave on how deadly an AR-15 round is. It's a 5.56, which means it's 5.56 millimeters of an inch, which is also 0.223 inches. Okay, there's 25.4 millimeters in an inch. Okay, when you get a 223 or a 308, that means it's that decimal of a full inch. When you get a 45 or a 9 millimeters, an actual millimeter rating. Okay, 40 cal means it's 0.4 inches in diameter of an inch. Now, a 5.56 is a 223, essentially. Gun advocates know the difference. There is a calibration difference with compression within the shell, okay? But they are the same bullet, essentially. They're the same size. And all the for you non-gun advocate people, for you anti-gun people, they are the same bullet. Now, it is a 22 caliber is what an AR-15 is. And I'm going to start out by explaining to you these different calibers. Okay? First, I'm going to start from the very left. I don't have a 50 caliber round out, but it's about, compared to this one, it would be up to about here. Okay? It's so big around in diameter, you can't stick it in a glass 12-ounce bottle, the mouth of it. It means it's half an inch in diameter, the projectile. This whole thing, this is called a cartridge. This is the shell. This down here, let me start right here where you can see. This right here is where the gunpowder is at. This neck is what holds the bullet, the projectile. This little thing sticking up is what you see that shoots out. The more pointy, essentially, the more accurate and the faster it can travel. And depending on what the bullet is made out of, it can do different things. If it's soft tip, it hits and it stops. It flattens out, it makes bigger openings, essentially. If it's more pointed, it's a full metal jacket. If it's a solid bullet, it penetrates. It will go through. It depends on what the bullet is designed for. In self-defense, a bigger prey or predators that you're trying to save yourself against, protect yourself against, a lot of times it'll be hollow point. And hollow point also serves a great purpose of if you have to shoot an aggressor or something, it won't keep traveling and go through another wall and hit an innocent bystander. Okay, bullets like this, if you shoot through like a wall or your target, depending on the caliber, can go through it and hit something else behind it. So, with that being said, let me get to this. This here is a 338 Lapua. Okay? as far as I know, this still holds the record for the longest sniper shot in the world. This bullet will travel over 2 miles from somebody who knows how to project it. Well, it can travel over 2 miles, but somebody who is a good shooter that knows how to read windage and everything else can hit their target with this over 2 miles. This projectile is 0.338 inches in diameter. So it means it's over 1/3 of an inch in diameter. But this is the length of it. It goes down into here. Okay, but this shell is all powder. Obviously, with the more powder, the further the velocity of the bullet. There's a lot of mathematics that go into this. I'm not going to explain to you no-brain, anti-gun, liberal garbage demon seeds. This is here to give you a basic idea and understanding about the big issue that you're making a gigantic mountain out of a little pit's hole from an ant. Okay? All of these are deadly if used in the wrong hands. No gun is deadly if it's used and utilized in the right hands by an educated and well-balanced, mentally capable, mentally fit and suitable person. Okay? Criminals are the wrong hands. The second worst thing are people of ignorance like yourselves that think the AR-15 is so bad that you can't go hunting with it because there'll be nothing left of the deer. Let me tell you something. This here is a 338 Lapua. Okay? Some people pronounce it Lapua, but it's a Finnish word. And it's pronounced Lapua. But at any rate, that is used for hunting large game. Bear, elk. Snipers use it in military. This is a 300 PRC. Same principle. A lot of the same, that you can see the cartridge is shorter, smaller, but it is kind of like a revised, upgraded version of the 300 Win Mag. Okay? It means that this projectile is 0.3 inches in diameter. Same thing. Same purposes between these two. One's just got more velocity, more impact. This one here is a 338 Win Mag. Same size diameter as a 338 Lapua. But you can see the shell is less than a 300 PRC. This here is a 30-06. That means it's a 30 diameter projectile. You see how much shorter the shell is than these other three, but it's the same diameter of projectile as the 300 PRC. It's neck down, less powder. This is called a 30-06. It's a 30 caliber, came out in 1906. It was heavily used by the military for a few decades there. Then they downsized to the 308, which is this one right here. It's 0.308 millimeter. 0.308 inches. Okay? This here is a 7 millimeter mag. This here is a 270. That means that this projectile is 0.27, so a little more than a quarter of an inch in diameter. So all these rounds, they look pretty close to the same. They serve their own purposes. These are all widely, very popular used rounds right here for hunting. These four right here especially, okay? This 30-06 is one of the most common and popular rounds used in hunting. This is very, very regularly, so are all of these, used for killing white-tailed deer for hunting. Okay? That's what these are used for. Have you seen, can you pick out the 5.56 yet? Can you see it? I bet you thought it was this one, no brains. Bet you thought it was that one. Not even close. Now, this here is a lever action, and actually you can get this for revolvers. This is a 45-70. Okay? This was what was used in lever action rifles, still is, but was widely used back in the 1800s. This cartridge was the type of rifle, an 1876 Winchester, that was found on Johnny Ringo when he was dead. Okay? he was carrying that. Many people did. Because if the smaller ones, which y'all will get to, didn't do the trick, this one would. Longer range, bigger stopping power. This here is actually a hollow point. I can fit this down inside it. Okay? This is for hunting bear, elk, take out cougar if you needed. Now, this here is a 6.5 Creedmoor. The military felt that the 5.56 just didn't have quite what they wanted. Okay, and let me tell you, let's go back to the 308. The reason why the military went down to the 5.56, one of the big reasons for that was because the 5.56 was never intended for like a long-range sniper type gun, right? It's for like flak fire. You need to cover, you need to, shoot to make it to where you got to get. These guns are more for high velocity, for sniping, okay? The guy that was taken out from the attempted assassin, the jackass that tried killing Trump, was probably taken out with one of these cartridges. Maybe even that 338 Lapua. I doubt it. Didn't need to be. All of these rounds were very capable of taking him out from the distance he was at. But one of these rounds was probably used. Okay? Now, the 308 was used for smaller ammo because the 30-06 they figure was a little too big. Didn't quite need that much power. So they went to the 308, smaller, can carry more ammo, still very, very, very efficient, effective. So they go to the 5.56 after this one because it served the same purpose. Smaller ammo, further distance, more ammo you could carry, okay? Let's go back to the 6.5 Creedmoor. This round is also used for, this could have been used in taking out that attempted assassin too, okay? 6.5 Creedmoor is widely renowned in the military because it has a lot more stopping power, accuracy, I won't say accuracy, but has a lot more stopping power and accuracy at elongated distances than the 5.56. This is a 30-30 caliber. This is also widely used in lever actions. See the difference? 45-70 to 30-30. Both lever action cartridges, typically. Okay, now, this is a 243 Win Mag. This one here, still, can you tell? I bet you thought maybe that was still 5.56, right? Yeah, nope. This is a 243. This one here, particularly, is a 58 grain. This thing is, depending on the 5.56 round, this one is a 0.243 inches. So it's 0.02 inches larger diameter than the 5.56. And you can see it's quite a bit longer than all the rest of them. A lot more powder. This one here will travel up to 3,900 feet a second, 1,000 feet a second faster than the 5.56 round. That's a 58 grain. If you go the 100 grain, it will still do damn near the same as a 5.56 round and has way more stopping power and at a further distance. This is a 44 Magnum, also a lever action gun, and a lot of your old revolvers utilize this. This is a hollow point. Okay, these are all hunting cartridges. All of these are utilizable for deer or elk, or these are more for moose and buffalo, okay, bear. These are going to be deer, okay, smaller, whitetail and stuff, black bear even. This is a 6.5 Grendel, means it's 6.5 millimeters. This is a 6.5 Creedmoor. This is a 6.5 Grendel. Do you see the difference? Totally different. This one's a lesser cartridge. Still not the 5.56. Okay? This is a 22 ARC. Okay? It is a neck down 6.5 Grendel. It is the same cartridge, just neck down. This is 0.22 inches. Now, this here, this big bad beast of a round that you can't use, it'll blow the deer apart, is a 5.56 that you're looking at. This is the 5.56 223 AR-15 round. Do you see this? See, 5.56 millimeter projectile in diameter. You see it's the same as this one. These two are the same in diameter essentially, but look at the shells. It's a little longer, but this one's wider. You see all of these big daddies. This little brother. Okay. This is a 357 Magnum, another lever action and revolver prominent caliber. This means it's 0.35 inches in diameter, okay, which is damn near the same as a 9 millimeter and a 380. And this is a 40 caliber, 0.4. This is a 44 caliber, 0.44. I feel like I'm talking to a 6-year-old because you got to when you're dealing with lame-brained, damn dumbass Democrats, demon rats, demon seeds, Satan's servants. You're stupid. This is a 22 long rifle. Let me go back. These are pistols for self-defense. The police typically, a lot of times, use either 40 caliber or 9 millimeter. They stopped using the 9 millimeter for a long time because it didn't have the stopping power that they desired, so they went to 40 cal. Okay? They went back to the 9 millimeter because they're coming out with better ammo. This is just target round. Okay? This is 380, which is the same thing as a 9 millimeter, just 17 millimeters of a cartridge as opposed to 19. Less powder. This actually is widely renowned to be questionable on whether it has enough stopping power for self-defense. This is a hollow point. It'll do the job, but I target practice with this, and certain things it hits, it just bounces, it hits and falls right to the ground, depending on what it is. Stuff that this one will blow a hole right through. Now, this with the 9 millimeter high point type of rifle will penetrate a 4-inch block of wood 90 yards away. Oak yet at that. Now, let's go back. This one here is a 20 gauge shotgun shell. This has 20, this is number 3 buck. These pellets are about the size, in between the size of this, and there's 20 of them in here. 20 of them. And you can, depending on your gun, you can put 4 to 5, 6, 8, depending on the gun, sometimes 10 of these. And there's 20 pellets. Okay? Do the math. 20 pellets per one. And if you can load up just 6, that's 120 rounds. That would be 4 magazines to a AR-15. This, I don't know if it's getting in the camera, you see the difference in size, is a 12 gauge. Okay? You can see the difference in size. It's kind of hard to tell on here. This is a 12 gauge. Now, this is the opposite. The bigger the number, the smaller the number, the bigger the cartridge. This, you see the pellets in there on this one. Okay? This one in particular is a 12 gauge. This has a slug in here and 3 bullets that are about between the size of these two. 3 of them, plus a slug that is damn near that wide. You see that? That's almost 3/4 of an inch of a slug. That's bigger than that. Okay? That is the size of over 2 of these put together. That's a slug. In certain shotguns, we'll carry 9 of these. That's 9 slugs with 27 pellets like this coming at you. Okay? Now, the 5.56 round. Lowly little 5.56. I'm not going to downplay it. So it's not dangerous. They're all dangerous. Even this little munchkin here. Okay? They're all dangerous if they're in the wrong hands. The problem is the firearm. The problem is the idiot individual. The argument to say that we should take away firearms to prevent people from using them for crime is just as stupid as saying, let's take away all automobiles from law-abiding civilians to keep drunk drivers from driving them. And here's some food for thought for you. Based on FBI.gov, you can look this up. And if anything, the FBI.gov is going to fabricate their numbers high to make it look bad to advocate going to take guns away. Okay? Between 10 and 11,000 homicides per year. They're about the same amount of drunk driving deaths per year. There's over 283 million cars in the United States. There's well over 400 million firearms. That means that there are far more deaths per automobile than there are deaths per firearm. Now, this projectile, this is what comes out of the Ar-15. This right here, this right here is what hit Trump in the ear. That is enough to kill somebody, no doubt. That's what these are designed for, to kill, to hunt, self-defense, not murder. Okay? That's not a joke. This is no joke. But the problem is you dement these individuals. You dement them by putting bullshit out there saying, oh, perpetuating men to be girls and girls to be men. And you perpetuate all this disgusting stuff that twists their heads. You're causing this psychotic collapse in their mindset. And then you allow them to get a hold of these. The problem isn't this, because these mind their own business. It's the individual. The same way that this could be utilized as a weapon or a hammer, or this tapping device for threading. This could be used as a weapon. No, it's not a weapon, but it can be. This is to soften the hand for when I'm threading stuff, when I'm doing hundreds of them. This here is the same diameter as this little bullet here. You see that? I forgot you're Democrats. You only see what you want to see. You don't see facts. You see what your feelings tell you to see. Okay? Look at the differences in diameter. Diameter is what matters. The casing is the powder. The more the powder, the further it's a calibration. If you have too much projectile and not enough powder, the bullet will tumble. It won't go far enough. Okay? If you have too much powder and too small of a projectile, it'll go too far too fast. The wind can carry it way too easily. But they're faster, but they won't have enough stopping power with too small of a projectile. The idea is to have good balance, like this one here, okay? 300 PRC or this Lapua. All of these have pretty good balance. These even have great balance. These are more efficient than this, okay? Military step from that to this. Here, numbnuts, you brainless Democrats, because I know I'll give you a second to catch up, because your brains are in the same place where the damn dingleberries are hanging, those balls of toilet paper hanging from your sphincter hairs. Now, when you come back, this is a 5.56 to 6.5 Creedmoor. Not even close. And that's a little baby compared to all the rest. This, my friends, give you a perspective. This is how much gunpowder is in here to this. What do you think is more deadly? What do you think is more deadly? This one is a .223. This is a 4570, just virtually double the diameter, which doesn't mean it's twice the size. Okay, that's double the diameter. That's almost 4 times the size. Look at this. The Ar-15 round will fit inside of this hollow point 4570. Do you see this? Okay? To give you a perspective on a 5.56. This video isn't to say that this isn't deadly. I'm not going to say it's any less or any more deadly than that. It's the mindset of the individual that counts. Because if you take all this away, these here, and knives, kill thousands of people a year. 1,200 people are bludgeoned with blunt objects like a hammer. 700 or 800 are murdered due to strangulation. Over 1,200, or is it 1,400, are killed by sharp objects such as knives. The 5.56 is actually a carbine. Some of them are designed as rifles, but the AR-15, I'm sorry, is 90% of the time is going to be a carbine, if not 99% of the time. Okay, these are rifle cartridges. This is a carbine cartridge. Some of these are interchangeable. This can be as well, just not prominently. Every single one of those Secret Service agents that you saw walking around with ARs had carbines. I'm not going to explain the difference. You look it up yourself. You can take all these away, and let me tell you something. These are shotguns. Okay, they're different than rifles. Okay, shotguns account for 200 to 300 homicides per year. Rifles account for between 200 and 300 homicides per year. Rifles. Now, AR-15s, because people, they don't separate carbine to rifles in the FBI.gov, okay? If you look it up, all of these calibers that I'm showing you, all of these rifle calibers are including this, all of this. These are rifles. These are included in the 200 to 300 on average in the United States homicides per year are utilized this. The AR is one portion of that. How many? They didn't specify. Now, these right here, pistol cartridges, calibers, okay, account for up to 7,000 out of those between 10 and 11,000 homicides with firearms a year. Okay? So that means all the rest of these are accommodating for 4,000. Why is that? Oh, because pistols are way more concealable. You just don't hear about them because they don't fit the narrative or the agenda of what the madness of that demon seed party is trying to perpetuate. Now, I don't think that you anti-gun people are bad people. I just think you're stupid. And the biggest threat to good is not evil, because you can combat evil. These politicians that want to take our guns away are evil people. They are bad. But you can't, I can't say you can't, but how do you combat stupidity? That is Dietrich Bonhoeffer theory of stupidity. Look it up. Now, I'm just going to give you an idea. Okay? 6.5 Grendel, 243, 30-30. Look at the projectile difference. 6.5 Creedmoor. Yes, you do have to consider the cartridge, but the bigger the projectile and the bigger the cartridge, the way more deadly the bullet. Look at that 45-70. .308. 270. 7mm. 30-06. This is what the military used in World War I and into II. .308 is what they used in World War II. Started in Korea and Vietnam, and they went over to the 5.56. 338 Win Mag. Look at that. So their 30-06 is neck down 330. I'm sorry, 30-06. The 300 Win Mag is a neck down 338, which is 300 Win Mag is bigger than the 30-06, smaller than a 338 Win Mag. Now look at this compared to the 300 PRC, 338 Lapua. Okay. Do your research, man. Look at this. Look at this. Do you see it? And let's put this one in here. One of the most utilized hunting cartridges used for white-tailed deer. 12-gauge slug with buckshot pellets. 338 Lapua, 5.56 NATO, or 223 Rem. Not the same, but for you demon seeds, they are the same. There's a scientific difference there that is not enough to perpetuate any difference in this argument that makes or breaks anything. It applies to the same cartridge for what I'm pointing out here. This here is a 30-06, which is still one of the most widely popular used rounds for hunting white-tailed deer. Look at the difference. You tell me. You're making a big deal out of a peanut in a walnut jar. Anyway, enough of that. You can take with that what you like. Figure I'd give you guys a little education because you're pretty damn dumb. You're going to vote away your own rights because they're going to perpetuate you. See, let me explain to you why they want to take this one away. Because they talk about the firearm in which it's entailed to. Any gun somebody can grab a hold of and go do some dirty deeds with. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. And you go, well, then take away all guns. That's another whole conversation. You're an idiot if you believe in that. 0.012% is how many guns are utilized to commit a crime or a homicide every year. Okay, 0.012 of the amount of guns in the United States. One is 0.001, basically. No more than that. Of the amount of guns that are used to kill. The problem is not the guns. That means that's 99.999% of all guns are not used in crime in the United States. So if guns are the problem, don't you think that number would be a lot higher? These are not the problem. By penalizing ammo companies for homicides, by penalizing gun manufacturers for homicides, by penalizing gun owners that are law-abiding civilians for homicides. It's the same thing as suing Ford Motor Company for drunk drivers, or suing all these different oil companies for drunk drivers. Or let's sue your neighbor who's got a great driving record because your other neighbor got into an accident, hurt somebody while drinking and driving. Why don't we punish everybody on the block? Take all their cars away because the one guy was an idiot. That's the same argument to say let's take all guns because that's the answer. It's the exact same argument. But you don't have the mental capacity to understand that, oh, wait, it doesn't, but that applies to me with an automobile, so that doesn't make any sense. You only have an argument when it applies to something that benefits your mindset. But when it is apples to apples, you will deny it when it comes across something that infringes on your rights. Do your homework. First step is you got to pull your head out of that ass of yours, those asses of yours, and make room in your brain to intake this education. Now, if you really want to understand the difference of what rounds do, go online and look these all up and see what each caliber does when it hits something. So what they do is they start out by saying, oh, because you weak-minded people are stupid enough to think that, oh, it's a military gun, it's an assault rifle, assault is an action. And if you want to get into it's an automatic, it's a machine gun, okay, well, guess what? AR-15s are not automatic. They're semi-auto. One squeeze, one round. You have to release and keep pulling. It's not just you pull the trigger and brrr. You cannot have those. It takes a very, very expensive and in-depth background. The license, it's all expensive. You can't just get it. Yeah, you see people like Kid Rock has one because he's got a lot of money. He can afford it. And he's a well-renowned law-abiding civilian, apparently. But they get you weak-minded people to want to vote this gun out. Then guess what? Joe Biden already said it. Well, all 9mm because that's the most popular one. And he goes, well, you know what? There's no need for shotguns because they do too much damage. They're too convenient. Well, we don't need bullets this big. What are they good for? Oh, well, you can only have this 22 long rifle. Well, we don't need to hunt anyway. Oh, and then they come kicking your fucking doors in when they want to press an agenda like lockdowns. Oh, that don't happen in the United States. Oh, no. That'll never happen. Gun confiscation will never happen. Genocide will never happen. Really? Oh, wait, didn't 2020 happen? They tried to force mandates, lockdowns. You surrender these, then they can come to your house and force you to take vaccines, injections, whatever the fuck they want you to. And if you don't, guess what? Bam! Hitler did it. How the hell do you think the Jews were put into gas chambers? You think it was just because they walked in there? They were manipulated. That's why if you look up Dietrich Bonhoeffer and look up him and the theory of stupidity, he was trying to figure out how the basic general public was stupid enough to fall for the manipulation of a obvious tyrannical government and surrendered all this and had no form of self-protection. So they were slaughtered. You don't think that our government can do that? Look it up. No country has ever surrendered all of their guns when they had gun rights and then turned around and not had some sort of mass either genocide or government overreach. It's happened every time except for, I think, Australia, and they're already starting to deal with that crap. I think it's Australia and Canada. It's only because they haven't had it in effect long enough. Give it time. Give it time. These tyrannical fascists, money isn't enough. They have to have more money because more money leads to more power and then more power. And then you can only get so much power until you take your opposition. Who's your opposition? Your voters, because they can kick you out. So if you take them out, guess what? Nobody can take you out. You have the elite power. How do you do that? Oh, surrender these things. How do you get people to surrender these things? By making weak-minded people think that this is the problem, not them. You are the problem. You're murdering babies at rates that are 1,000 times more than these do. 1,000,000 times more. I don't know those numbers, but it's disgusting. You say it's a woman's right? No. If it's a woman's body, she'd be the one to die, not the baby. There's a life there. It's murder. It should not be used as a form of contraceptive, and most women use it for that. They have sex. They're reckless with it. They don't give a damn. They go, well, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just go kill the baby. And they do it all the time. I'm not saying they all do it, but the majority of them, that is why they do it. It's not medical issues with the majority of them. It's a lack of accountability. It's an entitlement. The same thing that you fucking dumbasses think with this being the problem. The only problem with this is criminals. Think about this. If laws worked, if they made sense, if laws made sense and they worked, they only work for law-abiding civilians. So if you make laws where this is all legal, guess what? The only ones you're unarming are the law-abiding civilians. Now they're sitting ducks. You think criminals are going to surrender their guns? No, because guess what? If criminals didn't break laws, they followed the rules, they wouldn't be criminals to begin with. And here's another thing. These are facts. Out of those between 10 and 11,000 homicides per year utilized with a firearm, about 13,000 are suicides. That's another thing, but that's a mental issue. So is homicide. It's a psychological aspect. There's more suicides with firearms than homicides. And with homicides, they don't separate how many are justifiable and how many are murder. If somebody breaks into your house and they're going to kill your family, they have a gun and you shoot and kill them, and it's legal, it's justifiable, that's thrown under that homicide number. It's not separated. So how many of those are murders? They don't just depict that. They just say a total of this as far as gun-related homicides. It could be 2,000 or 3,000 of them are justifiable. But we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt to keep a higher number for your benefit of the argument. Okay? out of those, say 11,000 at the highest, because it fluctuates, 11,000, this is FBI.gov, not these other perpetuated media outlets that want to lie and make up all these crazy numbers. FBI.gov, between 10 and 11,000 homicides with firearms per year. 90% of those murders are committed by felons who are not supposed to have firearms to begin with. And out of those, 70% of them were let out of prison when they were hardened criminals who were let out either early or should have never been let out. People that were busted and in prison for armed robbery, resisting arrest and assault on police officers, assault with deadly weapons, aggravated assaults, assaults with deadly weapons, stuff like that. 70% of gun-related homicides are committed by those people. And you're so damn dumb you want to unarm the rest of us. That's as stupid as your neighbor coming outside and kicking your fucking car in the fender, and you're so damn mad that you go, well, he kicked my fender, so you go and grab a stick of dynamite and blow your whole fucking car up because he kicked your car. That's how gosh damn dumb it is to say that guns are a problem, we need to surrender them. This is how stupid you anti-gun people are. Let me tell you something. I'm an avid, I believe in gun control, but not what you're talking about. I believe in gun control. It starts in the mind first. Gun control starts with controlling yourself as an individual. Gun responsibility, gun etiquette starts with the individual before the gun is even in place. Okay, you better be a damned solid person. If you got a bad temper, you have depression issues, you contemplate homicidal envisions or suicidal, you shouldn't have a gun. That is the most important thing, knowing yourself first. Okay, secondly, is knowing the safety of the gun. Knowing the velocities of all of these rounds, how far they can travel. There's a maximum effective range, which is the maximum distance if you shoot at a target, trying to hit it that a good shooter can regularly hit. Then there's the max deadly range, which is you're not going to hit your target by aiming, but if you shoot up in the air, 35 to 45 degree angle up in the air, that bullet will travel 4 or 5 times further than what it will on its maximum effective range. You have to understand these things. I'm going to use these just as an example. Muzzle velocity of the 5.56, about 250 foot-pounds, okay? Travels 3,000 feet per second. It will travel, depending on how they're typically a 500 to a 700-yard gun. If you set them up correctly, you can get 1,000 yards. It's not likely often. You have to really know how to build that gun, but having the right scope. But that's 3,000 feet. That's roughly two-thirds of a mile that this bullet, we'll say realistically, though, 500 yards, that's 1,500. That's a little more than a quarter of a mile that this bullet is effective. Okay? But if you shoot up at a 35 to 45 degree angle, this bullet will travel 2.25 miles and still have the velocity to come down and kill somebody. 30-06, right here. This one. Roughly 1,250 foot-pounds muzzle velocity compared to 250. That's 5 times the muzzle velocity of the 5.56. This bullet, maximum effective range, it's also about 3,000 feet per second, and it is also its maximum effective range. It's about between a 500 and 1,000 yard gun. But if you aim this gun at a 35 to 45 degree angle, it will travel almost 5 miles, 2.5 times further than the 5.56 round, even though they both have about the same give or take maximum effective range. Okay, but on that 45 degree angle, that 30-06 will travel 2.5 times further, almost 5 miles with that bullet shooting down an angle. It can come down and kill someone. Could you imagine what this one will do? Okay? This one will travel. This one will travel. There's a guy on there that actually did the 300 PRC, and he got 2,235 yards. This is an everyday guy, not some military sniper dude. Okay? 2,235 yards or 2,325 yards, something like that with this cartridge. This one here, the 6.5 Creedmoor, he got, I forgot what it was, but it was a mile, 1.29 miles with this cartridge. Okay? Shooting, like trying to hit his target. It will travel way further. This one will travel way further. The record is like 2.35 miles or something for a sniper kill shot with this round. You shoot on an angle upward, this thing will, I don't know what it'll travel, 7 miles? I don't know. I didn't check into that one. I don't remember that one yet. But you need to know all those things before you become worried about carrying a gun and going out there being accurate. Those things are most important because that's gun safety. Your individual self, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, is number one. Your mental understanding, safety is number two. Then accuracy is number three. Understand it, learn it. Here's your big bad. Oh, it looks big in the camera. There's your big bad 5.56.